And Jonathan, thank you for holding this meeting here. We just have to be able to get in front of folks like yourselves to be able to really talk about these problems. You've seen on the screen the mission of OCM is to reclaim competitive markets in agriculture for farmers, ranchers, and rural communities. One of the things that I learned about NCBA years ago was probably in about 2000, shortly after the checkoff merged with the National Cattlemen's Association, and they came up with this long-range plan. And I got really disturbed when I saw this long-range plan on paper, and it was this chart of all these little clouds and circles and all connected and all that. And basically what it was a model of chicken farming. Top-down controlled, corporate controlled production, vertical supply chain, back to the farm. In that model, top-down type structure, you are a cost to be reduced. I'm a cost to be reduced. And the problem is they've gained the power to do it and do it big time, as you've seen in the last year. Now I understand we hear some pushback from the big packers and the NCBA and these organizations that represent their interests, that it's just supply and demand, we got too much pork, we got too much chicken, and it's just supply and demand. Well, let's see if that's true. So this is where you grew up. What happened, Grandpa? This place is about a mile north of my operation in St. Francis, Kansas. And this is pretty much the way our country looks. This is the way rural America looks. And Jonathan and us took a little drive around your country today, and guess what? It's pretty much the way your country's looking. We had breakfast there across from the Tyson plant at that little cafe. Nice little cafe. And I'm sitting there, I'm driving up to this cafe, and I'm thinking, hey, where's the economic development director of this community? Tell me, sitting right here in this parking lot, that that's economic development instead of the economic destruction that I'm seeing, because you're a cost to be reduced. Those laborers are a cost to be reduced. And it just so happens if they're refugees from a war or another country that's in trouble financially and the economic problems force them out, they are a very easy cost to reduce. This is the model that the NCBA drew up as their long-range plan, and I've been fighting it ever since. The U.S. has lost nearly half its ranchers, 90% of its hog farmers, over 80% of its dairymen in the last 35 years due to this industrial model of vertical integration, top-down control. Every month, 1,000 ranchers go out of production. Honestly, it's 17,000 ranchers a year go out of production, and we've lost nearly half of them. 17,000 a year. How is that not a national security issue? If we can't feed ourselves, how free are we really? You can look at other countries right now for some evidence. How about Syria? They got in the drought, the farmers went off the land, they can't feed themselves. How about Venezuela? Cargill went down there and industrialized their agriculture. Chavez nationalized their facilities, paid them for them, and asked them to leave the country. But they've never been able to rebuild their agriculture with family farms out on the land. They lost their skills, they lost their capital, they don't have the machinery and the equipment to even feed themselves, even if they wanted to right now. You don't just rebuild this infrastructure after these big global companies have destroyed it. And unfortunately, with the permission of our county commissioners, with our city councils, these folks that invite these predators into our communities to extract the wealth and take it back now to foreign countries. These are just a couple of heifers in my feedlot. We use an Angus cow, breed them to a Wagyu bull, because I'm shooting for really high quality meat in our meat company. So I go with the Angus cow, the Wagyu bull. These are a couple of heifers. Average slaughter weight at USDA is 1,350 pounds, steers and heifers, right at that. That's a big animal. It takes performance-enhancing drugs to make them that big. It takes Zilmax, it takes Optiflex, the hormones, the steroids, the antibiotics that they're feeding in their feed. We produce our cattle with no performance-enhancing drugs, improving the quality, the tenderness, and the flavor of that meat. So we're developing very nice demand with our product. But the point is, these 1,350-pound cattle are worth $3,300 a head at the Walmart meat counter. So explain to me why your calf is only worth $500. Explain that to me. Somebody, NCBA, we've invited them to explain that to us. They can't do it. All they can do is basically lie about their position and where they're at in regards to cattlemen and the markets, or the lack of markets. Here's some data. This is the USDA all fresh retail value. Understand that these values are for the fresh meat in the meat counter. This does not include the certified Angus. It does not include the Nyman beef. It doesn't include the Coleman beef. It doesn't include all of the branded beef, the Aspen Ridge beef, the Star Ranch beef of Tyson. It doesn't include any of that. And it certainly doesn't include any of the prime cuts. But based on the USDA, we're about 7.8% lower at the retail meat counter than we were when fat cattle were worth $170 a pound, or a hundredweight, $170 a hundredweight. Okay, when they were $170 a hundredweight, they weren't quite high enough for where you ought to be if you were getting your same percentage of the retail dollar that you used to get when the markets were competitive. When I first opened up my feedlot in 1978 in St. Francis, Kansas, I could sell to 20 meat packers. And I remember on a Monday morning, there'd be a car sitting outside that locked gate with a guy sleeping in the seat. He was a cattle buyer for a meat packing plant. And he wanted the first look at that show list. The market was competitive. Everybody was making money. From the cattle producer, the cattle feeder, the packer, and the retailer. It worked. We had competition. We need it back again. Your share of that retail dollar on in November of 2014 was 58.2%. That's down 12% of what it was when I started feeding cattle in 1978, 75 to 78 time period. I'll show you that in a minute. Well, September of 2016, your share is about 39%. Wow. Consumers have never paid more for food. They've never really paid more for beef overall. And your share of that dollar is as low as it's ever been. Thanks to the lack of competition and the abusive market power of a packer cartel and monopoly of 4 meat packers. This is the proof of this abusive market power. And that amounts, if that's a 1,350-pound animal, and considering the 20% loss in that market share, you're looking at about a $660 per head loss at your farm gate of what you ought to be receiving. And I know there's some sale barn operators here tonight, right? And you can attest to the lower calf prices. How about cow prices? Significant income. They're stealing these cows. They are absolutely stealing the cows because we have fewer cow buyers than we do feeder cattle buyers. While USDA reports retail beef prices 8% lower, finished cattle prices declined 41%, and calves are down 50%, and in some cases more than that. Here's a chart. This is not the price. This is your share of the consumer beef dollar. Back in 1975, Hughes Bagley was working for IBP. Hughes Bagley was a vice president for the biggest beef company in the world at that time. Hughes Bagley saved the company. The company said Hughes Bagley saved the company with his approach to selling beef called the cattle pack. IBP was boxing beef. They weren't selling carcasses anymore. It was a smart innovation in our industry. They were selling boxed beef, and so what the big retailers were doing at the time is cherry picking just what they wanted and leaving IBP with stuff they couldn't sell. Maybe it was the trim one week, maybe it was chucks the other week and rounds another week, but they couldn't clean out their storage. They couldn't get rid of all of the animals so they could keep moving the chains and putting the animals through. Hughes Bagley came up with the idea, being an old grocery store meat guy, said, well, let's sell cattle packs to where they buy a percentage of the animal, but the whole animal. And it just shot IBP off like a rocket. It was awesome. what that did to IBP's future and their bottom line. Hughes Bagley tells me the story, now passed away, but Hughes Bagley tells me the story of the Boston Consulting Group coming into IBP. And their job was to help IBP figure out how to grow more and how to make more money for their shareholders. The Boston Consulting Group told Hughes Bagley and IBP, the other guys are big, Montford and Cargill are big, and you would be far better off cooperating than competing. Wow. I was just graduating from Colorado State University at that time with an animal science degree. I was all excited. I wanted to be a cattle feeder. I went back to St. Francis, Kansas. I built a 14,000 head feedlot, ran it for 8 years, got out, built the one I've got now, which is the 12,000 head feedlot. All the while never knowing that I was playing in a fool's game where the meat packers controlled the price. And here it is. See this share of the consumer dollar drop? Your share, your farm gate income dropping? And in 1995, the big guys had control of the market and were managing it. What happened here in 2002? Canadian mad cow. Wasn't your mad cow, but by gosh, it sure killed your market. And you got even less. You got down to 40%. Now you're at 38 something over here, right? So you lost major farm gate income in 2002. Kind of worked back, and then in 2014 we had an anomaly. We ran out of cattle. We ran out of meat. And boy, they drove those prices higher. But two things happened. You started cash flowing your operations. You got to replace some equipment, repair some things, and maybe get a new pickup. But boy, they didn't like it. They didn't like it that they were paying so much. And the other thing that did is when they finally decided to take the market lower, they left you with a $3,500 cow. And those young guys, your age and Zach's age, just invested everything in that $3,000, $3,500 cow and pair. And now you got the bill to pay back. Country of origin labeling was repealed. That didn't in itself kill the market, but it gave them permission to kill the market. Because now we can start talking about Vilsack's approval of South American beef coming into the market. And it didn't even have to show up to kill your price. We just had to be able to talk about it. And they started framing up the excuse to condition you to accept that lower price. Now, since I started feeding cattle in 1975 and built the feed yard in 1978, I remember 4 major disasters in the market where you lost everything and you were below the line in your net worth. But back then we had a banker that would stay with you. They don't stay with you anymore. In fact, they won't even finance you anymore. But we end up with 4 major disasters in the market and where we all get to start over again, and guess what? Not a single one of them were justifiable. We have never, since 1951, produced enough beef in this country to meet domestic demand. And yet we just keep kicking the crap out of the cattle. You're a cost to be reduced. Country of origin labeling, just the correlation of what happened when it got repealed to the calf market and to the feeder cattle market. The feeder cattle, the 550-pound steer price, look how much it dropped in relation to the fat cattle. And these guys right here, those cattle feeders, they were losing $500 a head. And if you were doing naturals, you might have been losing $800 a head. We know of cattle that lost $1,000 a head. Remember when we started wanting to borrow money from the bank to run cattle? You put up $100 a head margin, you could own them all. If you had enough $100, you could own them, a bunch of them. Try doing that today when they just lost $500 a head, $600 a head. And here's your retail beef price. Now you don't need to know anything except these 2 charts right here to understand it. You're being hosed. Retail beef price is essentially the same if you include all the beef. How many of you saw the menu price of meals go down at the steakhouse? Ain't happening. And that's 50% of your beef sales right there. USDA says, well, retail prices are 8% lower. but that's a small percent of the actual sale of the beef. The largest firms in beef, pork, and poultry are foreign owned. Now beef is controlled. The biggest packer is JBS, a Brazilian company, and it's not just a Brazilian corporation. It's a state-sponsored corporation. In other words, they cannot fail. They've got the government of Brazil behind them. The biggest pork company now, the Chinese bought Smithfield, and exactly the same story. State-sponsored, they cannot fail. And in doing so, we become part of the Chinese plan to feed the Chinese. What happens to our ability to feed ourselves? Same way in poultry. Now JBS Pilgrim's Pride, Brazilian-owned company, just killing these poultry growers. And at the same time, Joe's going to talk about it, selling chicken higher. The U.S. is now a net food importer on a value basis. When I was in college, we were going to feed the world. Talk about brainwashing and talk about a lie. And I learned since that we do not have to feed the world. The world needs to feed itself. And we need to feed ourselves. And we need to build better and stronger communities with good income from our wealth-creating businesses, like raising cattle. You know, a cow eats grass, has a calf. That's wealth creation. We put a seed in the ground, we add some soil, water, and sunshine, and as if in a continual miracle, according to Benjamin Franklin, wealth is created. But because you're a wealth creator, you're also the pocket to be picked by these big corporations. John Tyson, I met him in 2002 at the NCBA convention. He was there to announce that Tyson was going to buy IBP. Wasn't setting all that well with cattle guys that the big chicken was going to buy big beef. So he was there to explain to everybody how wonderful it was going to be, and one of the things he says, we will not do to the beef industry what we've done in chicken. Really? It's worse. You're not losing $500 a head on them chickens, Mike.
Thank God.
Even if you lost $1. Well, anyway, I went up to John Tyson, introduced myself. I said, I'm Mike Callicrate, and I'm a plaintiff in the lawsuit against IBP. And he said, what lawsuit? He was fixing to buy the company and didn't even know it. So I explained to him, well, it's based on the Packers and Stockyards Act. And it basically says that if what you do as a meat packer so much as even has the effect of reducing competition, you can't do it. Oh, you said you're suing the wrong people. You should be suing Walmart. They dictate the price to us, and we have no choice but to pay you less. Wow. And by gosh, he was right. Absolutely. But I said, you know, I can't sue Walmart because of Illinois Brick. I'm indirectly affected. So I have to sue you, and you sue Walmart. Really? Tyson got Walmart's meat counter. Beef, pork, and chicken, all of it. Man, what a gift to a company to have that kind of market access to sell your product through the biggest food retailer on the planet. He's not going to sue him, but he was absolutely right when he said that. I call them partners in crime. The big retailers are robbing the bank and the big packers are driving the getaway car. These guys are working together to fleece us and reduce our income and increase their profits. Average return on equity, the proof, the data that proves my point. Retail grocery, according to Bob Taylor, return on equity is 21%, meat packing 17%, all farming and ranching negative. Lack of power in the marketplace, lack of competition. A 17% return, a 21% return would never happen in a competitive market. And this is food. These are commodities. This isn't your iPhone. This isn't some technology or an invention that somebody came up with and they've got a patent on it. This is just pure raw market power. There's an economic term to describe this phenomenon. It is called stealing. According to John Helmuth, former ag economist for the Congressional what is that, guys? The Congressional Ag Committee. Neil Smith. He advised Neil Smith from Iowa, and John was with Iowa State University at the time, and was one of the original founding members of OCM. These guys are nothing but old-time gangsters, thugs, and thieves. They beat your brains in with their market power, and they take their money. Take your money. You know, why not say it like it is? This was on opening day of trial in Montgomery, Alabama, just a little way south of here, 2.5 hours, right? In 2004, opening day of trial, I said that to the AP reporter, Kyle Wingfield. It hit the papers all over the country. And did I ever get my butt kicked by the judge? See, he sequestered he sequestered us at that point. You're not talking about this case. You or anybody else, you're not talking about this case. And just the night before I was to testify the next morning, I get a letter from the Tyson lawyers. There's 13 of them in the courtroom against R4. And they hand me this letter, and it basically says, retract that statement. It's libelous, slanderous, and defamatory, and it's untrue. And you've got to retract it equally as well as it was originally distributed. Oh, really? That's pretty hard to do. So anyway, I went back to the hotel room with our attorney, David Domina, and got to thinking about it. Okay, let's respond. Let's write a response to their demands of retracting. And so basically what we did is we went in and we defined what a gangster is and how Tyson and IBP were precisely that, and gave examples, many examples. We defined the word thug, and we went through and we defined that word and how they are that precisely. And thieves, same thing. At that time, there were over 50 felony counts on the books against Tyson. Anyway, we submitted the letter to the press, the retraction, as well as the original letter from the attorneys, and that hit the news. And we never heard from them again. Still haven't heard from them. So, this is who we are dealing with. Bob Peterson in 1996 warned us. He said, there is no stopping it, concentration. This is an evolution that's going to take place in spite of whoever's in the way. And we are now doubly concentrated over what we were when the Packers and Stockyards Act was passed in 1921. Four meat packers control 83% of the market. Back then they control 45% of the market, and back then they called it a monopoly. They called it a cartel and a trust. This is my feedlot at St. Francis, Kansas that I currently am at. It's a 12,000 head feedlot. It's the second one I built, and it's as nice a feedlot as there is anywhere in the country. It's well designed, it's got the right soil types, it's got a great feed mill. I was feeding cattle and was enjoying it in my life. Until one day they wouldn't buy my cattle anymore. I only had one buyer. It was National Beef. We fed really good cattle, and National Beef was the premium buyer. And so I had a buyer every week that bought my cattle, but it was not a competitive market. It was never a competitive market as long as I was in business. And I can't sell my cattle, and they're still coming in, and I can't get rid of them. I've got 14,000 head in this lot right here, and I'm in trouble. Finally, Don Guilfoyle, my national buyer, shows up on Monday it was right after Christmas, and I said, Don, I see your trucks coming south from South Dakota, driving right by our gate out here, going to the plant in Liberal, Kansas. And you're not buying my cattle. What's going on? He says, well, Mike, let me just tell you, I've been told, since you've been speaking poorly about the Packers, and sued them, in fact, we can't buy your cattle anymore. So I called Dan Glickman up, Secretary of Agriculture, a Kansas guy, and I said, Dan, if you would enforce the Packers and Stockyards Act, I wouldn't have this problem. And I explained to him what was going on. And he said, well, you know, Mike, he said, in this new age and new day of globalization, we need big meat packers that can do business globally. Wow. He drank the Kool-Aid, the globalization Kool-Aid. And basically I said, well, that doesn't help the small guy, the real backbone of this industry. But what he did do is he called ConAgra up in Greeley, Colorado, formerly Montford, then Swift, now JBS, and he told them to buy all of my cattle. 15 people went to town without a job. And I ended up with that site right there. Closed it down in 1999. This is a book you should all read. Christopher Leonard wrote the book, The Meat Racket. And it is the story of the Tyson family rise to power in the poultry industry. And if you want a little more proof about the gangsters, thugs, and thieves, read the book. It is a sad, sad story. While producers, contract growers, and workers suffer, Tyson Foods has the 4th straight year of record results. This week, Cargill came out with 80% more profit than last year and $1 billion increase in their profits, and actually said it's because of their meat division. Billion with a B. It's coming right out of your all's pockets. There once was a time in history when the limitation of governmental power meant increasing liberty for the people. In the present day, the limitation of governmental power or governmental action means the enslavement of the people by the great corporations. In 1776, we said no to the plutocracy of the Crown and the East India Company, right? The East India Company being the biggest corporation in the world in that day. And they had colonized the United States, the colonies, the original colonies. And we said, no, we don't want you to rule over us. And we revolted. We threw off that plutocracy and that enslavement by this corporate government partnership. And I argue now that we have it back again. In this country, we have returned to the plutocracy of corporate government partnership. And you've got to be darn careful when you talk about getting rid of regulations. And I guarantee you we are over-regulated big time. But they're regulations imposed on us by that plutocracy. At the same time as they throw off the regulations for antitrust and monopoly control. Thank you.